Hello, welcome to Magic Circles in the Sky and today's episode. But before we begin, I'd like to welcome you into 2026 and also thank all the people that have liked, shared, and subscribed. This is very much appreciated. Now for today's episode by the Brother Grimms. It's called The Elves and the Shoemaker, which I've renamed as Spirit's Little Helpers. The structure will remain the same, starting off with a summary where I'll digress in a few highlighted sentences and give a brief reflection with my pearls of wisdom. We'll move on to how this fairy tale plays in today's society with a brief review and then a parallel of a film that contrasts very beautifully with the same fairy tale. And last but not least, the trigger points, and we'll close with my quote. So let's begin with The Elves and the Shoemaker, which I've renamed Spirit's Little Helpers. It's a charming fairy tale from the Brother Grimms about a struggling shoemaker and his encounter with magical helpers. The story centers on the themes of kindness, gratitude, and the power of cooperation. The plot follows a poor shoemaker who, due to financial difficulties, is left with enough leather to make only one last pair of shoes. I digress. There is an expression for this situation, making the most of what you have. He cuts the leather and leaves it on his workbench, intending to finish the shoes the next day. During the night, a group of elves enter his workshop using their remarkable craftsmanship, create a beautiful pair of shoes from the leather. I digress. God's little magical helpers providing the miracles that are most needed. Reflection, hard work and perseverance. The tale demonstrates the value of hard work and perseverance as the shoemaker continues to work diligently despite his initial struggles. When the elves come to his aid, his fortunes improve, but he does not take their assistance for granted. That's the magic right there. Instead, he remains dedicated to his craft, which ultimately leads to his continued prosperity even after the elves' departure. Pearls of wisdom. The most important point here is not taking one's genuine support for granted. When the shoemaker wakes up and discovers the finished shoes, he is amazed and sells them at a high price. I digress. The blessings of God's fortune encourages the shoemaker to do more. With the money he earns, he buys enough leather to make two more pairs of shoes. I digress. So the shoemaker tests his good fortune from the money from the sales. Again, he leaves a cut leather on his workbench overnight, and the elves return to make two more pairs of expertly crafted shoes. I digress. With all the extra material, the elves continue to bless the shoemaker, lifting the labor of work. This pattern continues, and the shoemaker's business starts to thrive thanks to the elves' assistance. I digress. The elves' blessing motivates the couple's continued success. Reflection. Humility and generosity. The shoemaker and his wife are humble and generous characters, which plays a significant role in their eventual success. They recognize the value of the help, i.e., not taking it for granted. They receive and do not hesitate to express their gratitude. This interpretation emphasizes the virtues of humility and generosity, suggesting they can lead to happiness and prosperity. Pearls of wisdom, the magic of the unseen forces doing their work by honoring our humble efforts or their humble efforts in the conscious realms. Wanting to express their gratitude, the shoemaker and his wife decide to make clothing and shoes for the elves as a token of appreciation. I digress. Of course, the couple wanted to reciprocate the elves' generosity. They leave the gifts out for the elves, who are overjoyed to receive them. After this exchange, the elves stop coming to the workshop, but the shoemaker and his wife continue to prosper due to the help they have received from the magical creatures. I digress. The sincerity of the shoemaker and his wife enable the elves to bless the shoemaker way into the future. The elves and the shoemaker is a heartwarming story that celebrates kindness, gratitude, and the enchanting aspect of life, leaving readers with a sense of wonder and a belief in the magic of helping others. Reflection. Magic and wonder. The story is a celebration of the magical and wondrous aspects of life. The presence of the elves and their mysterious assistance can be interpreted as a reminder to appreciate that unexpected, unexplainable moments that can bring joy and good fortune. This interpretation encourages readers to embrace the element of magic and wonder in their own lives. I digress. The power of manifestation. Pearls of wisdom, the wonders of magic that reveals itself through our efforts and surrender to holding on instead of letting go. How this fairy tale plays in today's society, a small review and significance of the magic of the shoemaker and the elves. Working in silence allows the elixir of alchemy to flow, ushering the blessings of gratitude. The unseen mysteries. The shoemaker's poverty. The shoemaker's initial struggle represents the human condition of lack or limitation. It's the place where creative potential is dormant, waiting to be awakened. There's there's a rest and silence, walking away to allow our efforts to breathe, which creates the space for the undiscovered birth of creation. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Abundance flows when preparation meets receptivity. Your effort is the leather, your trust is the night, your gratitude is the gift that completes the circle. Notice the small miracles. Honor the unseen hands that guide you and give thanks, not because it's expected, but because it awakens the magic in your life. Your life, like the shoemaker's, can be transformed. All it asks is that you prepare, trust, and honor the gifts that the universe quietly offers you and comes to you. The film that I'm going to use is Big Fish, pardon me, and the Shoemaker and the Elves. Number one, the ordinary world versus the enchanted one. The parallels here are of leather survival, magic enters quietly without announcement, transforming the ordinary into something exquisite. In Big Fish, Edward Bloom lives an ordinary life, but he tells it as extraordinary. Giants, witches, daffodil fields, and miracles every day. It turns overlay mundane events. The parallel. Both stories insist that life is not changed by escaping reality, but by seeing it through the lens of wonder. Magic doesn't replace the ordinary, it reveals the hidden depths that's underneath the ordinary. The unseen helpers, the elves, and the shoemaker work at night, ask for no recognition, leave once gratitude is expressed. Big fish helpers. Edward's life is shaped by strange companions, the giant, the witch, the circus people, and the town folk. Each helper contributes to becoming often without being fully understood at the time. The parallel in both stories, transformation happens through relationships with figures who are misunderstood, dismissed, or only seen clearly in hindsight upon reflection. This mirrors a deep truth. We are always being helped by people, moments, grace itself, often without realizing it until much later. I think this is so true, people. Preparation versus perception. The shoemaker prepares the leather, does what he can, leaves space for something more. And Edward Bloom prepares not through labor, but through imagination. He interprets his life generously, in spite of its ordinariness, mythically, enlarging its meaning. Parallel, the shoemaker prepares the material, Edward prepares the inner world. Both are forms of readiness. Magic requires a prepared hand or a prepared heart and eye. How gratitude and recognition plays such an important part in both stories. The story cumulates gratitude, clothes for the elf. The cycle is completed. The elves depart in peace. Big Fish, the emotional resolution comes from Edward's son, finally sees his father, not factually, but truthfully. He understands the stories were acts of love, generosity, and meaning making. Parallel, both stories resolve not through the proof, but through recognition, gratitude in the shoemaker's tale, compassion and understanding in Big Fish. Now, there are a couple of more in comparison. I just want to go to the underlying message to finish it off. Shared core. Both stories quietly teach life responds to preparedness. Magic flourishes in gratitude, meaning multiplies when we honor the unseen. The ordinary becomes sacred when witnessed with love or in your own in your own language. Blessing flows where the table is laid. Grace gathers where there is room, and seeds grow where the soil is tended. So I think this is a really wonderful fairy tale to start of the year and to really understand how gratitude lays the foundation for blessings, and how all the little bits coming together from preparedness, from surrendering, possessiveness of an idea, and reciprocal kindness and generosity, all of these things, and the effort, the preparedness, the laying out of the last piece of leather that he had no idea that in the middle of the night, these little helpers were going to be there to produce these beautiful pair of shoes. I think we have to do what we can do, but then I think it's a place where we have to say, give it up to God and just say, I've done everything that I can possibly do. Now, work your magic, or it's up to you, or whatever you want to say, because God really wants to help us. He just wants to see us do our part and then trust that our faith and the universe will come in and do their part. So, what I found triggering for me, these two phrases remind me of the many missed opportunities I may have been ignorant of due to limiting self beliefs that I didn't deserve to receive. I thought my life was based on being an overgiver, walking around with an empty cup like a thirsty child. And unfortunately, people will treat you based on how you teach them to respond to you. It wasn't until I started to realize this, I began to change my act of giving into self-care and investment. This helped me to focus on self-healing and how I perceived giving and receiving. I was basically a people pleaser. I thought playing the martyr. I thought carrying the weight and the burdens of other people and giving them everything that I had was what I was supposed to do in order to get just a little bit back. But there are many situations of missed opportunities where I was just walking around with an empty cup. I couldn't give anybody anything after that. If you have an empty cup, what can you give? It's always important to make sure that your cup is filled first, and then you give them the overflow. So I began to treat myself much better. And it hasn't been easy, but in the long run, people have started to really respond to me in a different way because I have a different attitude towards myself. I want to share a couple of examples. The evidence of gratitude, surrender, faith, preparation, unseen forces of miracles. I have witnessed some incredible moments of gratitude and the magic of reciprocal exchanges on a spiritual level. Here are a few. When I had breast cancer and I had to go in for the operation, of course, I was scared. But at the same time, I I really worked on believing good things were going to happen, that I was going to heal, that if I let Spirit know I'm scared, and Spirit knew that I was scared. And Spirit just said to me one day when I was hanging up some clothes in my old house, you will be okay. Not you will be fantastic, not you will be wonderful, but you will be okay. And that was really, truly a blessing for me. I really needed that encouragement. There's a time when I had to walk away and let go and let God do the work. When I had to have radiation, radiotherapy. And, you know, most people, when they have radiotherapy, it burns the skin because it's radiation. And that intense heat usually burns the skin. I did not have one burn mark on my skin. I had sometimes when you've been out in the sun too long, you get that readiness. I don't get red on my skin. I just turn a darker brown. So there was the look of, oh, it got a little bit darker, but there was no like kind of burnt flesh, like the look of leather. And when the doctors saw it, they said, this isn't normal. This really, really isn't normal. And I can honestly say that the being grateful for the small things really played an important part in my healing. When I had complications with my foot, I had two really big surgeries on my foot. And the doctors were, they'd say, oh, you're going to be in pain, you're going to be in pain, and, good luck with that. And I sort of just said to God, I just said, please, can you give me the strength to go through the pain and to weather the storm of the pain, to go through the storm, the eye of the storm. And what was remarkable was when I came to consciousness and I had to go out. Of course, the anesthesia, the drugs in my foot was still working. I didn't feel any pain, but when I had to go to bed, not one bit of pain. I had no pain. The next day I went out shopping. I had no pain at all. And when they saw me 5 days later to change the bandage, they were mortified. He said, you should be in pain. But I wasn't in pain. And so these little wonderful things, when I was in Canada, oh, the blessings that I got, the blessings that I received was amazing. One of the biggest blessings is that, I had overstayed my visa for 14 months and I was going to turn myself in at with the authorities to come back to Barcelona. And and where I was at the shelter, they said, I said, I can save up some money. I'm doing a GoFundMe, but they said, we can help you. We'll pay you your airfare. Why don't you just go back to Barcelona? Don't turn yourself in. And so they ended up paying for my ticket. I didn't have to pay. I got some money from GoFundMe though to help me when I arrived here. But they gave me a first class ticket back to Barcelona and gave me some food and gave me some gift certificate, just to get some food and pay at the airport for transportation. What was really interesting is that they also paid for an AD&D. I was in a bit of a situation for about 2 or 3 nights where I had to sleep at the hospital emergency site. But then after that, they called me up. They said, we've arranged for an Airbnb for the 3 weeks before you speak to social services, and they helped me. And people at the shelter, they said they've never ever done this for anybody. This is the first time I'm hearing this. So gratitude, I did a lot of volunteer work. So in that volunteer work, I was, the universe was really blessing my my pure intentions. I wasn't saying, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get that. It was really blessing my pure intentions. So there are a couple of examples of how gratitude can really work its magic in people's lives. So thank you for listening. And we'll close with my quote: healing is a lifelong lesson, blessing, and gift we give ourselves, mind, body, and soul. Healing is a lifelong lesson, blessing, and gift we give ourselves, mind, body, and soul. Goodbye until next time. Happy New Year.